Imagine a world where fear, faith, and fantastical abilities all combine to form an incredibly compelling story. On today's episode of Voice of the Visionaries, we are going to be diving into the world of the faith-based TV series, The Chosen Ones. And I will be speaking to 3 very special guests who portray characters within the story. And we'll be talking about their experiences during production, what it took to bring these characters to life, and the lessons learned along the way. You don't want to miss this. Welcome back, Visionaries. It is great to see each and every one of you back for a brand new episode of Voice of the Visionaries. We're going to be talking to Callie Clive, Ian Wilson, and Jeremiah Vega, who portray characters within the world of the faith-based TV series, The Chosen Ones. We'll be talking about their experiences on set, lessons learned, and much more. So, if you haven't already, subscribe and click that bell icon so that way you don't miss any new videos. Now let's dive into the cast of The Chosen Ones. First of all, thank you guys for coming on the show. This is going to be a lot of fun, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's great to have you guys on here. I want to start off a little bit easy and dive into y'all's backgrounds a little bit, and then we'll dive into how you guys got into The Chosen Ones. Cal, you have a little bit of a background as a model and actress and doing some ads and short films and a miniseries and stuff like that. And Jeremiah, you've done skits and plays and musicals for church. And then Ian, you have a background in films like Gods Not Dead 5 and Outer Banks and stuff like that. So can you guys tell me a little bit about your acting backgrounds and how you guys got cast in The Chosen Ones?
Yes, I started modeling originally, and I just kind of fell into acting through that, and I fell in love with it. The process of it. It was never something that I considered. But I just fell in love with it and decided to pursue it completely. And I was cast, I think it was like a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now. And I was very excited. I felt back. I loved the audition. I thought it was fun, and I loved the plot and everything. Yeah, that's it. I was very excited about this.
I guess I'm next.
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, so I did some acting in my youth. I was in a lot of stage productions from a young age, and that kind of wrapped up when I was 14. Then I kind of shifted to YouTube, where I had no goals in mind, just like I just want to put stuff out there and for the heck of it. Time went on though. I'm kind of getting good at this, and I kind of like doing it. So like I think I should pursue film like as a career. And so like between 2016, 2018 is kind of when I started to head in that direction. Acting was something I wanted to do in addition to making my own films someday. So did a lot of amateur stuff on YouTube for a while, got better as time went on, got on my first set in 2021 by the grace of God. And from there, just had a lot of set work here and there, a lot of free jobs here and there. And then 2024 came, and before that, I did a lot of background jobs too on set. That's where I mentioned Outer Banks and Gods Not Dead 5 because there were background opportunities with those. And then 2024 came, and I believe The Chosen Ones was probably my first yes, my big yes as an actor. Robert reached out to me because we were in this Zoom group together called the Boston Filmmakers Meetup, and he said that he wanted to talk with me. We got in a Zoom call, and I realized like soon into that Zoom call is like, this is more of a recruitment call, because he said I looked a lot like one of the lead characters in this show he wanted to do called The Chosen Ones. So I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. So I auditioned for it right in the middle of a film festival, sent it off to them. Like a week later, they said the production like unanimously cast me as Kenny. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Thank you, God. But yeah, since 2024, I just like God's been showing me like that he really has a place for me in acting. He's been opening up doors here and there. I'm actually like on set right now. I'm gonna be shooting Monday for a film I'm on here in Alabama.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, growing up in church, I've always done little skits, little plays here. I want to say starting at the age of 9, I think, I'm pretty sure. and yeah, growing up doing that, and then once I got into my choir, is where my director just wanted to branch out and do Christmas musicals. We've been doing Christmas musicals for the last, I would say, last 8 years. I want to say 8 years. Having different themes and gaining my experience in acting in front of a live audience, I think has really helped me to break out of my comfort zone and expand. But also, I feel like God has also put a seed in me to be able to pursue this full time and to be able to make a career out of this.
Right.
And for The Chosen Ones, it's actually my first ever on-screen project. I've never had any other commercials, short films, TV series, movies. Nothing has been on camera. Everything has been, for me, strictly in front of a live audience. So this is a brand new experience for me, and I'm loving it all the way through. But how I got into two connections with The Chosen Ones, somebody from my church actually sent me a Facebook group invitation. It was the New York Christian Media group, and the first post I saw in that group was for The Chosen Ones. And I read the bio, I read the description of it, and I'm like, okay, this seems kind of interesting. Christians with superpowers, fighting the forces of evil. And that's when I got into contact with Robert, and he sent me some of the material for one of the characters that he had in mind, and yeah, the rest is history.
It sounds like each of you had growing experiences both with this project in the past, and it seems like in a way everything has been sort of leading to the Chosen Ones project. I find that really fascinating because God really does use things to guide us to where He wants us to be, and that really is fantastic.
It's a journey.
Oh yes, agreed. Jeremiah, you said the idea of Christian superpowers. That's a really great concept as it is, and it's kind of a bit of a segue into my next question, which is the world of the Chosen Ones and the characters. Right, Callie, you play a character called Ashley, and the series isn't out yet, from what I understand. So, could you tell me a little bit about your character and what it was like for you to play this character and really step into her shoes within the world of this story?
Yes. So Ashley, she has, well, each of the characters have a past that kind of like what we were talking about. It was something that led us to the show, but each of these characters has quite the past that they've been through. Mostly a lot of struggles, and she has this strength to her that has come through all her struggles. And growing up, so she was a bit more of a tomboy and very athletic and had a lot of pressure on her growing up. But so she brings that to this team, the Chosen Ones. But she starts off not with the team, but she has some moments later through the story, the series, where she learns and eventually joins the team. But so I love that emotional strength that she has, but then she's also vulnerable underneath, but she doesn't like to show that. But there's she learns that vulnerability is good, So there's a long learning process for her, but that emotional aspect is something that I love that, and I can resonate with, because wanting to show that you're strong on the outside, but you really do have this vulnerable aspect underneath. So that's and I think that really reflects her athletic character, because that's very much aspects to what you need for sports. Yes, that emotional aspect is very key for Ashley. So yeah, I'll pass that on.
Very cool. It sounds like Ashley is a character with a lot of layers and a lot of growth throughout the series. So I imagine that must have been a fantastic character to, embody. So thank you for sharing that. So Ian, Kenny, tell me a little bit about him and his role in the story.
So the excuse me. So the funny thing about Kenny is when I stepped into this role, and I did a lot of communication with Robert on like how I should I guess go with him. He told me that beyond season one, he hasn't really done a whole lot of development with Kenny yet, and it's still in the works. But he did give me a little bit of Kenny's background, and from stepping on the proof of concept that we shot, I guess one of my first things that like came to mind about Kenny was that this character kind of carries a lot that he doesn't show quite yet. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in season one, how we're not really diving into him yet. Like we're still like, who is this kind of guy? Like we see him with these people, we still don't know like exactly who he is. Like who are his parents? Like what's his family look like? What's his family dynamic look like with them? I think one thing I also took away from Kenny was I guess his regrets that he has from his life before he actually knew Christ. Like he used to be a bully. Like that was one thing that I found out jumping into this role, and that since then he's carried a lot of regret from his past, and like he wants to kind of like turn from it, and he feels in from my perception of him like that he hasn't like earned grace, or he like doesn't know how to earn grace, when in reality we don't earn grace, it's given to us. And he has that feeling that like he just like he's too far from it.
Right. Wow. I hear tiny echoes of Paul the Apostle and his story in there.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to hear that. And it's Kenny's sounds like a character that we're gonna end up rooting for as the show goes on. So that's
I hope
very
so.
cool. That's
hope
very cool. I enjoy that. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, and he has electric powers too, that's pretty cool. But
Yep, that is shocking. Love it. Jeremiah, Zachary. What is Zachary all about?
So Zachary is, if I'm not mistaken, the youngest member of the group. Zachary does come from a broken home with a single mom and his older brother.
second youngest, Jeremiah.
Second youngest?
Second, yeah, Jeremy, the character Jeremy's.
Yes, right. Well, second youngest. Sorry for that.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
And his background, he comes from a Hispanic background of half Puerto Rican, half Dominican. And for Zachary, he's only 18 years old. He's just starting, his life into college and into becoming who he is and who he's destined to be. But you'll see in the story of how the issues that he's dealing with at home, it's very difficult for him to want to branch out and but also still kind of be there for his mom, and the relationship that he has with his older brother. It's not the best. There's a lot of shakiness in that relationship. So it's he's juggling a lot, and he's going through so much, especially at a young age. And if there's one thing that I hope from Zachary's story is a lot of viewers can find something that they can resonate within them, that they see in Zachary, and that the problems that Zachary faces in his life, whether it be with his hero work or with something at home. People can see something that in Zachary that they find in themselves, and they can find an answer, and they can find a solution, and they can find something that, okay, I can take this from Zachary's story and I can apply it to my life, and learn something and apply it.
I feel like when it comes to media and fiction, especially with the modern superhero boom, with everything, we gravitate most toward characters that we can relate to. We don't,
Right.
I mean, it's not a full, rule or anything, but we gravitate more toward characters who are flawed, who struggle, who have to fight to overcome, the challenges in their lives, because that's
Yeah.
so real. A character that comes to mind, of course, is Spider-Man. Everybody knows
Yeah.
Peter
Yeah.
Parker, and yeah, he does all these crazy things as Spider-Man, but people relate to the Peter Parker aspect, and that's what makes him such an endearing character. So that's one of the things I really liked hearing about Kenny, which is he's really, really cool. I cannot wait to see these characters brought to life. Ashley, Kenny, and then Zachary. It's going to be really fun. I wanted to dive into the world of the Chosen Ones a little bit. As I've talked to Robert before on the show, we talked a little bit about how faith and superpowers and this unique combination, really shape this world that these characters inhabit, and it shapes the story and the tone and that sort of thing. So, for all of you, I was wondering, what did you find the most fascinating aspect of this script and this world to be?
Yes. Yeah, you don't see that often, the superpowers connected, but I think that's a thing very important connection to make. And it really shows, having these superpowers really shows what God can do in you, what the Holy Spirit does. We don't talk about that even in our life. It's not something that we think about on a daily basis. We should, but the majority of people don't. So I love that this superpower that all the characters have. It brings to light the spirituality that we have through the Holy Spirit on a daily basis. So yeah, I mean, I love that aspect of it that you don't see.
Very cool. It sounds like everyone really enjoys this meeting of the physical and the spiritual, and it sounds like it's such an integral part of these characters and the stories. So, Ian, tell me about what you found the most interesting about the world with the chosen ones.
I think I got 3 things on mine. Obviously, the superpower aspect. I love the concept of the show Heroes, and I think a lot of that kind of bleeds into this. Kind of that down to earth feel of people having powers, not necessarily being like larger than life like Marvel, but like kind of more personal. Another thing I think is cool is how like this show is like kind of centered around New York and New York culture. I guess not many other people do that with their shows, but how Robert's like purposely making New York like a character in this show and showing kind of like how like the different boroughs live, because each character, I don't think we mentioned this or Robert mentioned this, but each character in the show is from one of the different boroughs. Like Kenny, he's from Queens. Zachary, he's from Brooklyn, I believe. Lorena, she's from Manhattan. So it's really cool that Robert's kind of like piecing this together, to, like show us kind of like what the lifestyle's like in New York and how these characters are moving about in that lifestyle. Third, I think the fascinating thing would be is the things that Robert wants to kind of dig into with this show, subtextually. I think one thing he did mention to me was how he wanted to encourage masculinity in this show and kind of get back to that, because a lot of media does not encourage masculinity nowadays, even some in the Christian film space, which is kind of depressing, because that's one very godly thing about a man is like his masculinity and how he carries himself and what he does to provide, what he does to protect his family. And so I'm happy to see that being put into this show. And there's a lot of others that he wants to cover too that he has mentioned.
The topic of godly masculinity, you don't see masculinity covered in a positive sense, like you're saying, in much of any popular media today. And when it is covered, it is usually something negative, but that is fantastic. I really think that is a very underappreciated and underaddressed topic within film media. So yeah, I can't wait to see how that plays out. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah. No more weak Disney Channel dads.
For sure. Jeremiah, what about you? What really stuck out to you about the world and the story?
Yeah, for me, I would say, I don't know if this is the right word I'm using, but how it exaggerates the responsibility of the gift that God gives us. No, we don't see people flying or shooting lasers at their hands or fireballs at their hands in our life today, but there are people with spiritual gifts that God gives us, and He holds us accountable to use those gifts for His glory. So in this show, I know that it's a crazy spin on that part, but I know that with each person that is given a gift by God, it's their story, it's their decision to whether they use their power for good or for evil, which I think it's one of the main questions of this series is how will you use the gift that you were given? And for Zachary, you're going to see something that is really honed on him between him and his brother. They both have teleportation and precognition, but you'll see in the story of how they use that. Some may use it in a selfish way, some may use it in a way that glorifies God. So I would say the heaviness and exaggeration of responsibility with the gifts that God gave you was very interesting to me.
Ah, okay. Very cool. It's funny that you mentioned teleportation, because as a 90s baby myself, one of the characters that really comes to mind, and I believe I mentioned this with Robert, is the character of Nightcrawler, from
Yeah.
X-Men.
Yeah.
And, everybody knows that despite looking monstrous, the guy has such a deep faith. And almost everybody remembers the episode of X-Men where he helped lead Wolverine to faith, and that's such an incredible episode. And your description, Kenny, just and all that really just brought all that to mind in a really cool way. So it's really cool. I enjoy, the fact that you guys are so passionate about this and bringing these characters to life, which is absolutely amazing. I also wanted to kind of touch on the production side of things. With every story, with every production, there's always a unique experience to be had. No two projects are the same, even if they might be in, say, the same genre. What, for you all, was the most interesting or challenging aspect of production for each of you?
My part was shot in Times Square, so it was loud and crowded and it was cold. So all of that was hard to handle with the sound and just getting the right angles. I guess I don't have a specific event that I can think of, but just yeah, handling all that was hard. But that's what makes this show so great, as Ian was saying, is the fact that it's around New York City, and that is very much New York City. So the crowdedness and all of that. So
Right. Okay. Very cool. What I kind of think of is, I think I was talking to him when he was on the show. He mentioned that, shooting in Times Square was such a challenge, not only because of, the crowds of people, but it was just finding the right time to go, because it's obviously such a crowded place at almost all times. But not only finding the right time to go, but finding, like Kelly said, the right angles and the right moment to get everything together in such a short period of time. So yeah, I can definitely relate with that. Ian, what about you?
I think just the fact that we had, the little resources we had and the little moments that we had to like fly everybody out, because it wasn't all done like in the space for a week. It was like bit by bit by bit. We flew out character by character, and that we were able to pull this off and get the trailer that we had was really cool. And it was very cold. It was very cold in January in New York as a whole ocean front wave came through. It's like it's cold outside. And yeah, shooting in Times Square, that was pretty fun. I think a really funny takeaway is like every time one of those street grifters would come by, Robert would just stick out his finger, go, mm-mm. I think I learned how to be a New Yorker though, because the last time I walked through New York, no one tried to do that to me. So I think I'm kind of fitting the part now.
Hey, that's a whole other level of character immersion. I love it.
Hell yeah.
Jeremiah, what about you?
Both Ian and Callie both made it pretty clear that it was freezing, and this was multiple days of shooting in Times Square. But besides the physical aspect, I think another big challenge was the spiritual aspect as well, because we were receiving a lot of spiritual warfare just even leading up to the shoot, and even on the day of the first shoot, one of our supporting actors was attacked by I think it was a homeless man on the subway twice before getting on set. And then one of our directors got a call saying that somebody from his family had to be rushed to the ER. One of our producers couldn't make it because she had to be rushed to the ER. So on a spiritual level, it was a lot going on in the background as well. But glory goes to God, everybody's okay. But it is little things like that that let me know that what we're doing is good, and the enemy is just doing anything and everything to make sure that we are, distracted, defeated, and to make sure that this project doesn't come out in any way, shape, or form. But also, when it came to like a scene that was shot on the red steps in Times Square, I remember getting to the place because we kind of like we turned I think it was a Chipotle into like a little like TCO HQ, where it was like at least like 10 of us like hidden away in the back part of the restaurant. And while Robert and the rest of the crew are there, I'm walking to where they're at, and I'm seeing the red stairs filled with tourists, and I mean filled. They had the the black poles with the tape that they reach across and to make like sorted lines. I'm like, you Robert, I don't think we're gonna have access to the red stairs. He's like, don't worry about it. We'll just pray about it. I was like, all right, cool. And as we meet up with them, some people are shooting their scenes, coming back, and we're just like tag teaming, just going in and out. And when it's time to shoot our scene on the red stairs, we noticed that people just started leaving one by one, just getting out the red steps, and it just started getting so clear. And then we get to a point where Robert sees a spot all the way at the top, on the top right corner. He's like, "Go get that spot because we need to film there." And by the grace of God, we were able to shoot that scene there. So, yeah. But besides the cold weather and the cold hearts of New York, we were able to shoot the scene with the God's grace and mercy.
Awesome. Awesome. That is amazing to me. You know, moments like that really, oh my goodness, it's brought back some memories from a couple of projects I've done before. One was from an older short film I did. It was kind of like an action film, and the shot needed to be that the character needed to be on a motorcycle and ride off into the road and stuff like that. And the character had a trench coat and this full mask because it was kind of comic based. And the actor showed up on set. He's all in costume. We're all good. And we find out that he did not know how to ride a motorcycle. Like, oh, okay, cool. So the guy who brought up the motorcycle, he's like, "Hey, are you guys all right?" I said, "Yeah." I'm like, he doesn't know how to ride a bike, the actor. I'm like, "Oh man, we're gonna be stuck." I said, "God, we need your help. I need to get this thing done." And so the guy's like, let me try on your trench coat and the mask, and if it fits, we can do that. And lo and behold, it was so strange because the actor playing the character, he was a bigger guy. He's about 6 foot, probably about 200 pounds. So he was a bigger guy. And the other guy was about 5'7", 5'8", my height, and he was much thinner, probably about 165. But once we put everything on him and we got the angle going, it looked perfect. Like you couldn't even tell it was wasn't the same actors. So just moments like that is when you kind of see God's hand. So that's amazing. This one wasn't on my notes, but I think it's just too great of a question not to tackle, at least in some form. With the Chosen Ones being a faith-based, project, I'm sure it's been an experience for all of you guys, but what has it been like for you guys to kind of grow through this experience, and how have you guys grown as actors, and as Christians during this whole production process?
I guess there's two things. Just breaking down Ashley's character, and I talked about her emotional aspects, but she very much wants acceptance from other people, and which can be endless without God. So just identifying that with the character has also been I've been able to identify that in my own life, being able to see where I'm just wanting acceptance from other people rather than looking for acceptance with God, which should be the only area where I need acceptance, and God has forgiven me in every way, and I need to realize that. And so seeing, I guess, her faults, that I've been able to see my own faults. But then also the trusting God has been huge for me, especially through this. Both Ian and Jeremiah, you guys were saying that there were difficulties and that came from like the shooting process, but God, you just prayed about it, you said, and God provided, and just even getting this role, I really felt God gave this to me, and that also comes responsibilities as well. So the trust was a big thing. I completely think God is, as long as I'm following Him, dying to self, and just trusting where God leads me through my acting career, and through being Ashley character through this role, and I also trust Him like where He's going to take the chosen ones.
Yeah. Excuse me again. So I think, and this is just my theory, but since getting on the chosen ones, I think it has kind of motivated other people to see me in the light of it as an actor, because like Robert posts this stuff on social media all the time. A lot of people who I know see it all the time. A lot of people I know in the film space, they end up seeing this stuff, and I know that at least one chance I almost had to be on another set was they were doing a resume basis. Like I was going to audition for this. It's like, oh, we've seen your resume. It's like, oh, you're on the chosen ones. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you be, it ended up not working out, do a schedule, to do a schedule conflict. But that was cool. So I think, due to the chosen ones, people, started seeing me more as an actor and like, hey, maybe he could be on this. Maybe like, yeah, I auditioned for stuff like, oh, he was also on the chosen ones. Maybe that helps. I don't know. But I did notice that since the chosen ones, God has definitely opened up more doors for acting. And let me see. I think I had like one more thing I was thinking of. Oh yeah. I feel like I was able to connect with Kenny a little more on what I mentioned with him before, because I've experienced kind of the same thing that he has. I do have a lot of regrets in my life. I do feel at times that I am very far from grace. And I struggle with a lot of that, like at the time, and I still struggle with a lot of that today. But like a year almost after the chosen ones, I got cast for it. I actually got rebaptized because I felt God like was calling me to it. Because at first, when I first baptized, I didn't even know what half of this meant. I didn't know what a relationship with Christ looked like, and I think in the year after, God kind of like, I guess, was tugging on my heart in a way to like, just remember, hey, grace isn't from you or anything you do. It's from me. Oh, I think I had one more thing I was thinking of. Oh yeah. Trust and patience. Waiting for this thing to get picked up. Like Callie said with trust, trust in God, waiting for this thing to get picked up is, painful sometimes. Like we want to be on set shooting this. We want to have the budget to do this. So I think God's like working patience in us to like wait till it happens and trust too that when a studio does pick us up or a network does pick us up, that we don't get split up as a team, that we get to keep our jobs on this set. I think that's another thing, trusting God in that process, because we know that studios, they love those big names in the credits. They love to pull people into the audience because of those big names, which we're looking at a few for other roles, but we're hoping that like the core team right now won't get recast, won't get replaced by somebody else, that will be able to keep most of our team in this process. I think trusting God in that has been one way that I have grown, is learning to trust him, and it's all in his hands.
I agree completely with both of you guys. I think faith has definitely been exercised since I even got the call that I was going to be a part of the show. Just seeing God's hand just move throughout this entire process. When it looked like things weren't going to happen in the blink of an eye, things just turned around. So I would say for me, well, for like I said earlier, since this is my first ever on-screen performance, it has definitely opened my eyes to improve on a lot of my acting skills and improve just all around. So that God willing, this can branch off into different careers, into different projects. But definitely know my faith has definitely been tested throughout this entire process. And I thank God for every step of the way. I do know that, God has chosen Robert to be the leader of this project for a reason.
No pun
I
intended.
know that, yeah. I know that that God's plan is always perfect, and is always his timing is always perfect. Even when we seem that it's getting a little a little too close to the edge, or things aren't working when we want them to work. God always provides a way on time, and it's just a beautiful thing to see of how much our group has grown since we first got that it was like it was I think it was during the summer. It was just the four of us, Robert and some of the producers, and now look at us now. It's like the growth that has happened over like the last 2 years and a half has been it's been a crazy process, and God gets all the glory and honor for that. Um, and I know that there's been like a lot of relationships that have that gotten stronger because of it. And it's just awesome to see where God has taken us to now and where He will take us in the future.
I love it. I love how each of you stays close to God and keeping Him as center of your lives, even, with the future and everything. That's just, I love that. It's such an important thing to keep in mind at all times, especially in today's world. So, thank you guys for sharing that. That's amazing. This is the final question, but I'd probably say it's one of the, I guess, deepest ones. But what I like to do is, for everyone who comes on, there's people who might be listening who want to get into film or acting or the arts. And I like to leave them with something to really ponder while, they listen. What would you say to someone as a single piece of advice, the most important piece of advice, if you will, for anyone looking to, get into acting or filmmaking?
Just remember your purpose is not fame. It's not any praise or acceptance, like mentioned before with Ashley. She's wanting acceptance. I think that's a reason why a lot of people go into acting is for that reason. But it's this isn't that's not our purpose. It should be teaching others about Christ, knowing, loving, and fearing God. And so just keep that perspective so you don't lose track of your direction.
I'd say three things that I can think of. One, don't compromise. It's not worth it. You hold a certain standard, beliefs or values. Don't go against those just to achieve a dream or achieve a high or achieve fame. It sounds cliche, but it's like true. Like so many people go to ridiculous and disgusting lengths to achieve fame, and it's not worth it. Like compromise is not worth it. God will bless you if you hold true and hold firm to what He has commanded you to do and obey Him. Whereas the opposite, if you go against what He said to do, it's not going to look good. Especially like if you're if you're a Christian going into this, like, and you put your trust in God and you're going to go against that, like, not a smart thing to do. Secondly, I'd say don't let people tell you no. Usually someone telling you no is just like looking at you from one glance, but like they don't see the future ahead of you. Like you are on this road because God has put you here for a reason. Don't let other people tell you no. When people tell me no, it frustrates me so gosh darn much. I'm like, no, you don't tell me what to do. It makes me want to do it even more. Like you will get there eventually if God has put you on this road. Like don't let people tell you no. They're idiots. So I guess the third one would be remember your lines because that is important.
No, yeah, I think a common theme is just putting God first. Because I think that there's a lot of careers and there's a lot of people, whether they're in the music industry, the acting industry, they have let the fame and the fortune get to them, and because of that, they have lost their vision on God. They have lost their uh, I guess purpose in God. And there's a bunch of people that I can name that if you could listen to their projects or see their projects 15, 20 years ago, it's completely different from what it is today. And so I think that to keep the faith in everything you do, put God first in everything you do, whether it's music, whether it's acting, whether if it's something as small as cleaning or working in your regular 9 to 5 job, you never know what can happen. There's a saying that says, treat the janitor like the CEO. In things like that, God can move. And I've had people, who in my life who have had that same model and have been truly blessed because of it, because they were able to put God first and God elevates them. Like when you have God on your side, who can come against you? There's absolutely no one and nothing that can come against you. So you gotta put God first, and it's like I think that when you are surrounded by a bunch of people who are in the same accord, you will understand how fast God can move. Is especially when you have those people, who are like prayer warriors and absolute submissive to the will of the Father. You will see that God's hand will move in a mighty way. Where you won't even question how. You will just question, all right, what's next? If there's one piece of advice, God first.
Fantastic. All incredibly solid pieces of advice. That's going to wrap up today's episode of Voice of the Visionaries, everyone. Thank you to Callie, Ian, and Jeremiah for coming on the show. It has been a blast talking to each of them and hearing their experiences on the show. And for those of you who might want to follow them and to see what projects they do next, Callie, Ian, and Jeremiah, where can people find you if they want to see what you're up to in the future?
I'm on Instagram. I mean, mostly Instagram, and it's Callie Clive, Kallybe. Thank you so much.
Let's see. So I have a YouTube channel. My handle on YouTube is at Wilson Productions Official. If you want to follow me there and see my work there, subscribe, watch a video, watch it all the way through. The algorithm gets confused. And yeah, I'm on Facebook too, but Instagram is more where I post a lot of my work from, and it carries over to Facebook. So at Freedom Fire 20 on Instagram. It's the same thing on TikTok if you want to go there. I post basically the same stuff there. So
Yeah, for me, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Real Jeremiah Vega. Facebook Jeremiah Vega, and soon I haven't quite figured it out yet, but soon I will be posting more stuff. And yeah, I'm also considering making a YouTube channel, but I'll see what the Lord says about that. Who knows?
Fantastic. Well, again, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been a blast talking to you about the Chosen Ones, and I really cannot wait to see where this show goes, and I just can't wait to see it. So, again, thank you all for coming on, and hopefully we'll get to do this again sometime. And that is going to do it for today's episode of Voice of the Visionaries. I hope you guys really enjoyed this interview, and I hope you guys gleaned something useful as well. Don't forget to subscribe and click that little bell icon so that way you don't miss any new videos, and that way you can learn the art of filmmaking made simple. You can follow Callie, Ian, and Jeremiah at the links I'll post down in the description box below, and you can follow me on X, Instagram, and Facebook. Remember, stay curious, stay creative, and above all, stay awesome, Visionaries.